Hello guys, this is my 7th tutorial of this series, and today we're gonna learn how to create a fluffy white or beige carpet in the center of the room. This is the first tutorial where we create objects in the room. The room itself we finished the previous tutorial. Let's get started. I'm going to go to the top viewport and unhide the plan I used to build the room in the first tutorial. If you don't remember how I created the room, go to the part 1 of this tutorial series and you will find out. So the first thing I want to do is create a plane. This plane will be essentially my carpet. So I'm going to create a plane the size of the carpet. I'm going to give it a lot of segments and you will find out why later on in this tutorial. The segments I'm going to give it, I want to make them as rectangular as possible. So the width and the height are supposed to be as close as they can. So I'll make it a little bit less, like so. This is fine. I'm going to go to the camera viewport, and now, as you can see, the carpet is in the same height as the floor. I'm going to hide the plan because I don't need it anymore. And I'm going to choose the carpet and go to the front viewport and take it up just a little bit above the floor. Like so. So this is the floor and this is the carpet. Fine. Next thing I'm going to do is give it a VrayFur modifier. What this modifier does is add fur to an object. So while my object is selected, let's call my object carpet, I'm going to click on VrayFur. What this does, as you can see, is add fur to my plane. Now the fur is too high and there are not enough hairs, but we'll fix that later. For now we have an object which is our carpet. On the carpet we have fur, and this is our carpet for now. Now let's try rendering this area here out and see what we get without adding any materials and without changing anything in the parameters of the fur. Let's take this down a little bit, like so, and let's try rendering this. As you can see, the carpet is blue and red. That's because these are the materials that Max randomly gave my carpet. Once we give other materials to this carpet, it won't be these strange colors. For now it's fine. We just want to see the height of the hairs and the thickness. Okay, as you can see, the thickness of each hair is too high. It's the hairs are too thick, and there are not enough hairs, and they are too tall. So let's fix that. I'm going to cancel. And first thing I'm going to do in the VrayFur modifier panel is take the length. This panel is here in modify. The length down to something like 7. And the gravity is fine. What the gravity does is control how much gravity is pushing the hairs down. So the more gravity, the more they bend. 3 was okay for me. Now next thing I want to see is thickness. The thickness of the hairs was too thick, so I'm going to make it half of what it was, 0.1. There were not enough hairs. The distance between hair to hair was too high, especially if we take the thickness down. So we're going to change the distribution here. What the distribution does is, if I choose per face, which is every square we created, every segment we created in the plane object, which is 50 on 27, is a face. So if we choose one per face, What this will do once I render is create one hair each square. Alright, so that's very little hairs, and we will have a very bad result for us. So we need to take this value way up. I'll just show you how it looks with one hair per face. Not enough, not by a long shot, so we're gonna make it way more, something like 200. If I render this out now, the render time of course is way higher because it needs to render 200 hairs per face, and we have a lot of faces here, so that's a lot more rendering time than before. But the result is actually exactly what we need. Alright, as you can see, there are many hairs on the carpet, and the thickness is fine, and the height is fine for a fluffy carpet. This looks great. Next thing we want to do is add material to this. So let's add materials. I'm going to the material editor, and let's create a new material, name it carpet. I'm going to change it from standard to V-Ray material. Now the color, I'm going to add a map here, a fall-off map. What this does is, you see there are two colors here, black and white. The fall-off type is perpendicular, parallel. So if we apply this to a material, you will have two colors on the material depending on the position. So like in real life, the carpet is not whole white because the dirt goes inside the carpet and creates darker areas in the hairs of the carpet in the lower parts of the carpet and brighter in the higher parts. So we'll have two colors essentially. This is what this map does, the fallout map. We have one color and two colors that blend together seamlessly. Alright, now I'm going to change the black color to something more beige, 255 over 180 over 80, and let's take the saturation value down and make it a little bit darker, something like this, maybe brighter because I want the carpet to be bright. So now, as you can see, there is white areas and there are beige areas. I'm going to apply this material to both the plane and the VrayFur, I'm sorry. Both of them are materials, are objects. So if you apply only to the plane, the VrayFur will still be this purple color. So you need to apply to both of them, this material. Now I applied the material to the carpet. Let's try rendering. You don't need to add any reflection or refraction or anything to the carpet because the carpet is not reflective or refractive. So that should save some rendering time and headaches. Alright, so now we have a beige carpet and this is fine. I want to make the contrast of the darker areas and the brighter areas more visible here. So what I'm going to do is add a V-Ray dirt modifier, not modifier, V-Ray dirt material to the carpet. Now what V-Ray dirt material does is something like this. If you take a look at the picture, you see at the sides where two faces meet, this face and this face, we have blacker areas. This is called occlusion. So what happens in real life in rooms, for instance, is at the connection of the floor and the wall, you have dirt that collects in the corners, because when you clean your house, it is very difficult to get to exactly this point of connection. So you have, if the floor was white and the walls were white, you would see something like a black connection at the center, maybe black, maybe a different color. What this does is, for our carpet, is create an occlusion, create a saturation, maybe no, not saturation, it creates a more contrast between the hairs, so the connections will be visible, you will see the hairs better. Now, in order to apply this V-Ray Dirt modifier to our material, we are going to change the V-Ray material, not change but add, to a blend material. I'm going to keep old material as sub-material, and as you can see, you have a base material, which is this one, the carpet, and you have a coat material, which is every material you want to put in these slots. Now, the amount of blending between the two here. Now, if I put, I don't know, this material, the brushed aluminum we used on the doors, here as the coat, you will see that the material becomes half this and half this, and that's because the blend amount is exactly at the center. If I go all the way up to black, as you can see, the black represents zero amount of blending, which means we will see only the carpet materials and not the material that is in this slot, because it's on black. Same thing if you put it all the way on white, you will see only this material because the blend value is 100%. So you will have only this material visible, and this material will be essentially gone. So we don't need to put the brushed aluminum, of course, here. What we need to do is put another carpet material in this slot, not on instance, because I'm going to change the carpet material that is here. I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to change this to carpet occluded, and just make this material, the occluded material, darker. So the places that are occluded, that are at the background, will be darker than the places in the foreground. Alright, this, and I'm going to make this darker also. Alright, so now we have carpet material, and we have another carpet material which is darker than the first one. Now, how do I tell 3D Studio Max to only use this material in places that are occluded, in places that are hidden at the back of the hairs? What I do is add a V-Ray Dirt modifier here, the V-Ray Dirt material. I'm going, as the blend amount, I'm going to use, click on the none, and I'm going to go to the V-Ray materials and choose V-Ray Dirt. Now what this does is place a black value when on occluded areas in our carpet, and a white value on unoccluded faces on our carpet. So when we 3D Studio Max sees an occluded place in the carpet, like the connection between the walls that I showed you in the image, it will use the black color here, which means we will only see this material and not this one, because this will be black. Once 3D Studio Max sees unoccluded areas in the carpet, it will use whole white here, which will mean it will use only this material. This is a little difficult to understand, but once you start using this, you will understand it better. This is exactly the opposite of what we need, because this material is our occluded material. So we want, when 3D Studio Max sees occluded color, we needed to use this material. For 3D Studio Max to do that, we need to change the white to black and the black to white. Just the opposite. I'm going to copy this here and paste black here. Alright, so now we have a carpet with V-Ray Dirt modifier on it. Let's try rendering now. As you can see, the hairs are much more visible than before. They are not blended into the same color, they look occluded, they look contrasted. This is exactly what we need. For a demonstration, I will render out a portion of this image, of this carpet, without the V-Ray Dirt modifier. So, let's only use the carpet material without the V-Ray blend material. I'm going to do instance here, and I'm going to choose this material and apply it to the VrayFur and the plane. So now this material, which is with the V-Ray Dirt, is not used anymore. We only use the base material, the carpet. Let's try to render this area here without the V-Ray Dirt and see the difference. Alright, let's take a look. You see, it is much less contrasted because you don't have the darker areas in the occluded areas of the carpet. So this result is much better in my eyes. So I'm going to use the V-Ray Dirt material. Don't worry about it if you didn't fully understand what this does, just replicate it and read some materials about V-Ray Dirt on the internet. You will get it, it's not that difficult. Alright, let's name this material carpet V-Ray Dirt and apply this to the carpet. And now the carpet is with V-Ray Dirt applied to it. Now let's render the whole image and see how the room looks with our carpet. You know what? Let's make the carpet a little bit brighter. The basic carpet material, a little bit brighter here. So this is on full white, and let's take this down almost to full white, something like this. And the occluded part we will make just a little less dark, like this and here. Alright. Now let's try rendering the room.